was the lifeline offered when they needed it most, and it saved tens of thousands of small businesses from doom. The government-funded grants were to help them survive the pandemic shutdown, but now some are being hounded to give that money back.
Well, it's clearly robodebt 2.0.
The stress of being treated like a criminal is what's really upset us the most.
It's kind of like extortion, really. You've got no recourse.
Could you have done what you do, what you love to do, without that $15,000?
No. It'd set me back years.
And now what if you had to give it back? Could you give it back?
I don't have $15,000 in the bank.
Steve runs a hiking company in the New South Wales Blue Mountains. But according to Service New South Wales, Steve's a liar.
You're called a fraudster from the beginning.
You're not a fraudster, are you?
No.
Just a tour guide wanting to show everybody this beauty.
That's right. Yeah, nothing to hide.
It's June 2021. The country's in lockdown and small businesses are suffering. But the state government comes to their rescue with the COVID-19 Micro Business Grant, a lifeline for Steve, who was given $15,214 to keep his company afloat.
On the 11th of April 2023, I get a call from Angela on my mobile phone saying, "I'm from Services New South Wales and you've been deemed ineligible for having received that grant. We consider that you've committed fraud and we want the money back." I said, well, Angela, if that's your real name, get a real job, and hung up.
You thought it was a scam?
Well, it was a classic scam.
Almost 2 years after Steve received the grant, the state government decided it wanted the money back.
I'd done nothing wrong. I had complied with all the eligibility criteria and I had all the evidence.
Steve fought the department for a year until Service New South Wales withdrew its claim against him. But Grant's still battling the state government.
And one thing's for sure, if we're forced to give back the money, we'll have to shut the doors.
Grant's the owner, operator and tour guide at Sydney Harbour Bike Tours.
They wanted company tax returns, all our BAS statements across 2019, 2020. They want letters from our accountant. We provided all of that.
18 months later, Grant was told his company had been deemed ineligible and the money needed to be returned unless he could prove his business is based in New South Wales.
Now, we operate as Sydney Harbour Bike Tours. I can't imagine it's doing very well with that name down in Melbourne.
The department was satisfied until a bill arrived in the mail for $15,214 last month. The aim of the Micro Business Grant was to provide cash flow and help people like Steve and Grant survive lockdown restrictions. Big businesses received even more support. Qantas secured $2.7 billion in taxpayer subsidies. And despite posting record profits since, former CEO Alan Joyce felt there was no reason for Qantas to repay the funds. Harvey Norman and franchisees got $22 million in JobKeeper, even though the retailer's profits more than doubled during the pandemic. So if Jerry Harvey can hold on to the cash, why is the state government forcing micro business owners to return their $15,000?
We've been contacted by a number of small business owners who received the Micro Business Grant in 2021.
Right.
They have now, 3 years later, been asked by Service New South Wales to pay that money back. That's over $15,000. Can you explain what's happened there?
I can't. I don't know the specifics. If you can give me the names of the businesses, perhaps we can work out the circumstances.
We put the question to New South Wales Premier Chris Minns.
They've simply received a bill in the mail from Revenue New South Wales,
Yep.
and they're under a lot of pressure to pay back that money.
I think it's reasonable for me to say I'd like to know the circumstances before I make a definitive answer.
I'm a musician. I've been like a sole trader, had a small business for the last 30 years playing music, everything from Cirque du Soleil, Australian Opera, Glenn Shorrock, Marshall Hines, Doug Parkinson, Delta Goodrem.
You may not know his face, but you've likely heard Emil play.
They said, yeah, you're eligible. Had I known what a shambles Service New South Wales is, I would have opted for the job seeker and saved myself the stress of what's happening right now.
3 years after Emil received the grant, the department sent him the bill.
Demanding over $15,000 and payable within 2.5 weeks.
Can you afford to pay it back now?
Well, I'd have to redraw on my loan to do it, on my home loan to do it. I mean, it's not that long ago we had the robodebt and the effects of that and the Royal Commission. I mean, you'd have to be hiding under a rock not to have that in your head as a CEO of a government body like Service New South Wales. You'd want to make sure you're doing the exact thing and dotting all your I's and crossing your T's.
Greg Wells is Managing Director of Service New South Wales.
We have teams that assess compliance. Compliance is part of all of the COVID and stimulus packages that were part of the last few years. They're a necessary, I guess, component of the programs to make sure we're getting the funds to the people that are impacted.
Emil received an email from Service New South Wales suggesting he'd been deemed ineligible to receive the grant and that he had the opportunity to prove his case.
Yep.
But the very next day, he got the bill in the mail for $15,214. Now, in 24 hours, I'm not sure how much somebody can prove their case.
I know a number of the cases that you're covering tonight, we've been working through with those customers. Some of those we've been able to work through and resolve. We've had 63,000 applications to this grant. There's almost 600,000 people we've assisted through the program. We're not always going to get it right, Lauren.
Can you justify putting these families under so much stress? Should you not have gotten it right?
We always want to get it right. We really, really do care.
There is obviously a lack of communication for these small businesses.
This department is just a shambles. I mean, you get a more efficient system if you went down to the local tuck shop at the primary school.
Such an abuse of authority and power, and the whole thing needs to be shut down.
And it makes you wonder what lessons have been learnt from the robodebt scandal. There's so much stress, and once again, who's copping it? The little guy.